So thank you to all 28,000 investors out there that have helped us through our journey over the last 8 years. We've built a lot of technology and we've got it operating out in the field, and it's because of your kind support. Today we're going to talk about where we've been and, more excitingly, where we're going. There's a very bright future ahead for Knightscope that you helped create. Today during Investor Day, we're going to walk through the market, the technology, our growth plans, the people involved, and then the financial aspects of the business. The day is here. Knightscope to listed securities on the exchange under ticker symbol KSCP. It's an exciting day for us and we're glad you're all here to join us. Let's do an overview of Knightscope. We build autonomous security robots, we call them ASRs. There's a unique combination of self-driving autonomous technology, robotics, AI, and electric vehicles. And the idea is to provide really smart eyes and ears for officers and guards to be able to do their jobs much more effectively. Our long-term mission is to make the United States of America the safest country in the world. 5 key points. Number 1, recurring revenue. We put these machines out on a machine-as-a-service subscription model. Number 2, autonomous operation. They're fully autonomous, not remote control. Number 3, it's a growing and massive marketplace. The entire nation is focused on reimagining public safety. Number 4, it's proven effective. Yes, the crime-fighting technology operating in the real world has contributed positively to our society. And number 5, we have a growing technology portfolio. We've got the K5 outdoor, K3 indoor, K1 stationary, and a future K7, and maybe a few other things up our sleeve. So it's an exciting future for Knightscope. So here's the problem. Crime has a $2 trillion negative economic impact on the US every single year. It is a hidden tax we all pay in blood, tears, and treasure. A violent crime occurs every 26 seconds, a property crime every 4 seconds. Our nation has 2 million humans trying to secure a nation of 328 million Americans. That math just doesn't add up. Over at the Department of Defense, they have a $700 billion budget, and we give our 2 million troops every level of capability you might ever imagine. And there is a Northrop Grumman, a Lockheed Martin, a Boeing to build you whatever you might need in a theater of war. But on our own soil, those 2 million people, those 2 million officers and guards that get up every morning and they're willing to take a bullet for you and your family, the level of technology that we provide to them as a country is certainly beneath the dignity of this nation, and that needs to be corrected. There are over 19,000 law enforcement agencies, 8,000 private security firms, and the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security have no federal jurisdiction over any of those folks. There's no overarching strategy, no innovation process, no risk capital, and that's why in the year 2021, a security guard sitting out in the parking lot with effectively a number 2 pencil and a notepad. We can do better. So what's a long-term opportunity for Knightscope? Let's walk through it. If we were to look at just the verticals in terms of corporate campuses, healthcare, casinos, commercial real estate, manufacturing, logistics, and law enforcement, that totals out to around 1.8 million guards and officers. So let's say there are, just for grins, 2% augmentation of that number of humans. That would be about 36,000 robots. And let's just say each robot generated on the order around $70,000 per annum per machine today for the existing portfolio. And let's say we have a few items in the future which could generate, let's say, $150,000 per annum. Well, that would total out to about $4 billion of annual recurring revenue in the near term. If we were to increase that 2% to 20% augmentation of the workforce, that would then total out to over $40 billion of long-term annual recurring revenue opportunity for Knightscope. Let's talk about automation and private security. I think one thing a lot of folks don't understand is that security guards are trained and typically contractually obligated to observe and report only, and that is exactly what the robots do in a very cost-efficient and consistent manner. The guarding industry is very fragmented. An unarmed guard, let's say, can generate somewhere in the $15 to $35 an hour range, and typically that's what the client pays, not necessarily what the guard gets paid. Our machines go out at an effective price of $3 to $9 per hour, so that makes it highly attractive for clients. The turnover rate in terms of employees for guards can be very difficult. It can range up from 100 to 400% of annual employee turnover rates of just trying to keep the people in the job. And part of the problem is they don't have the appropriate tools for them to do their jobs. So if we can get the machines to do the monotonous, computationally heavy work, and then have the guards and officers be able to do the strategic decision-making and enforcement work, that combination of software plus hardware plus humans, that's the winning combination. Next, let's talk about automation in law enforcement. There are nearly 500,000 law enforcement patrol vehicles in the US. They're operating 24/7, typically 2 officers. But if you're doing 24/7, you actually need 8 officers to cover all of those shifts for the entire year. And that could quickly add up if you add the vehicle, the fuel, the maintenance, the pension liability, the salaries and everything else, quickly 7 figures for a city. I think the K7 can play a big role in reducing costs and adding capabilities and improving safety for both the officers and the community. We've kicked off a major growth initiative focused on the US federal government. This is really exciting for us because we are able to take our private sector expertise and lend it to helping the US federal government better secure their assets and operations. We're in process on the FedRAMP side of things for an authority to operate hopefully by the end of 2022. So back in 2013 when we started the company, we were told, hey Bill, you're out of your mind, this will never work. It's hardware and software, too complicated, you should pick one. And number 3, physical security is not an investment thesis, you need to go away. Fast forward to 2021, our technology has been proven effective, and I have to read you this. By a unanimous 5-0 vote, the City Council of Huntington Park approved the renewal of the Knightscope autonomous security robot contract for an additional 2-year term. Chief of Police Lozano stated at the July 6, 2021 council meeting, quote, "The reality is that a patrol officer cannot do what modern technology can do through the use of this robot." So to all you naysayers, have a nice day. So what's the strategy here? How does this all work? Let me break it down for you in 2 different pieces. First, let's talk about physical deterrence. If I were to put a marked law enforcement vehicle in front of your home or your office, criminal behavior would change. Just by physically being there, you can stop a lot of negative behavior, and that's one of the reasons a lot of these machines are rather large. Second, we want to provide the officers and guards unprecedented situational awareness so they can make smarter, faster, and safer decisions. These machines generate over 90 terabytes of data a year. There's no way a human's going to be able to process all that. The officers and guards have access to that magical technology at their fingertips using the KSOC, which is our Knightscope Security Operations Center user interface, both on desktop and mobile. So continuing on that use case of physical deterrence, adding automated broadcast announcements, patrol sounds, bright flashing strobe lights, and the appropriate signage, plus that large form factor can really be helpful for our clients. And you've seen that across healthcare, corporate campuses, airports, storage facilities, rail, and manufacturing plants. A second use case, BOLO alert, or be on the lookout. So let me give you an example. Let's say you wanted to better secure a school. You could whitelist all the people that are supposed to be there, let's say the parents, the faculty, and the students. And if the robot saw an exception to that, meaning they saw a license plate that was not on that authorized list, that alert then could go to the security team. A third use case, force multiplier. How can we give the officers and guards new tools for them to do their jobs more effectively and be in different locations simultaneously? This provides, through the KSOC and the ASRs out there, an ability for an officer to have their eyes, ears, and voice on the ground 24/7, 365. First one, the all-new K5 5th generation machine. We've been pouring our souls into this year, and we're looking for it to ship sometime in 2022 with an all-new architecture based on NVIDIA. All new electrical, all new mechanical, all new software, all new firmware. This is going to be extremely exciting. Based on that brand new architecture I just spoke of, in 2022, the 2nd generation K1 is also coming out. In different form factors, it'll give us a lot more flexibility. It's going to be a very exciting year in 2022. We're also continuing app development. We've built an all-new KSOC mobile app that we've released, and we've also built a public safety app. This one's kind of interesting, where investors and supporters have given us tips across the country as to where we might be helpful with our crime-fighting technology. We've also announced Knightscope Plus. This is a remote monitoring service for a lot of clients that don't have a 24/7 security operations center. We staff it with former military and law enforcement professionals that can do the monitoring for security purposes on our clients' behalf. The K7 Multi-Terrain will be an all-new platform for us and open up new growth initiatives, both in the public and private sector. Lastly, the Robot Roadshow. We're super excited to have this crazy pod with robots roaming around the country, meeting prospective clients. This is going to be really, really exciting as we roll out across 8 major metropolitan cities over the next few months. One of the ways Knightscope has been able to accomplish so much with relatively modest capital is a very determined management team. An experienced management team comprised of patriots, technologists, car guys, law enforcement folks, entrepreneurs, seasoned executives, both in the public and private sector. As part of our federal growth initiative, we pulled together a distinguished advisory board, and we're honored to have them serve with us as we build out Knightscope. Jan Lane, for example, spent 40 years in the federal government and was the Chief Security Officer at the Department of Homeland Security. Jim Williams was appointed by President Bush and was the former acting administrator for the U.S. General Services Administration. And Bob Mockney was the Chief Technology Officer at the U.S. Federal Protective Services. I am really excited to be seating 6 independent board members that are diverse in nature in experiences, capability, and expertise, and setting ourselves up for long-term growth and success. So we've got a recurring revenue business model. It's machine as a service. What's included? Well, basically everything. We handle the deployment, setting up the needs assessment with the clients, the technical aspects of the deployment itself, doing site surveys, the logistics, building the machines, and then the technology, getting it out the door and supporting it 24/7. And upgrades, unlimited software, firmware, and at times hardware upgrades, which makes the technology get better and better and better over time. One of the powers of our business model, high annual recurring revenue per unit economics, meaning similar to luxury automotive, but with software as a service margins. That can be extremely powerful over the long term. 2 validating points for Knightscope. 1, we're backed by 28,000 investors, family offices, people from all walks of life, and 4 major corporations. Number 2, we generated over $13 million in revenue, validating not only the market opportunity, but the technology itself. Use of proceeds from the public listing? Growth, growth, and growth. We're going to continue to invest heavily in technology and growing our operations team, engineering, and sales. Also, I've had a little bit of experience, as well as my CFO, in terms of mergers and acquisitions, and we might get a little acquisitive going forward. So we're really excited about the future. Join us and be a force for good. Now that you've heard the Knightscope story, I hope you're inspired to take some action. Our country needs to fundamentally change public safety, and this is your opportunity to do something about it. We look forward to you picking up some shares in Knightscope and holding them for the long term. And as I like to say, long Knightscope, short the criminals.